Sorry.
Good evening, everybody. It's been a while since we've all been together. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and would you please take the roll?
Councilmember Sherburne.
Here.
Councilmember Gray.
Here.
Councilmember Schmidt.
Here.
Councilmember Dittrich. And
Okay.
Councilmember Pointer.
Here. Okay. And then we had a couple items. We're doing a special meeting tonight. I think Tim talked to us about this at our last council meeting, that we made a couple items here. Is there any
I have no other changes.
first item tonight, we item 3.01, need a motion to adopt resolution 26, and that's amending our downtown commercial incentive program. And Tim will let you talk to that.
Yeah, so one of the things, downtown committee, or the design committee got together last Thursday. We were talking about a project.
And if I can insert here, I apologize. I sent out that agenda. I did not get that out to the council. So I have gotten that rectified and notes made so that I will make sure that that gets out to the whole council. So that I apologize for that oversight.
We request to get together with the downtown or the design committee to review an application for the downtown interior grant. We have a property owner, Pat Schmitz. I can't think of the address, 100 something North Franklin. They have a vacant building and they're looking to renovate it, bring in a new tenant. So they are working diligently to get that done in a timely manner. Mr. Schmitz has submitted a request or an application to look at doing the interior grant. Our interior grants are a rebate, reimbursement. They have to spend. We reimburse up to 1/3 or $7,500 cap, whichever's the lower amount. So as the downtown design committee was looking at this, they noted that that building is larger than the majority of our downtown businesses. We look at a couple different businesses downtown, like Widener's, which is 5 storefronts, because there was 5 physical buildings there. And the way they determine that's kind of based on their basements. How are the basements laid out? Were they addressed separately before? So 100 is basically one large building. Actually, it's 2 buildings. Lori French is part of that as well. So you have the Lori French and then what was new to you. So with that being 4,500 square foot, the committee discussed a little bit about, is there a way we could identify properties that are larger than what our standard downtown building is and make it a little bit more, increase the incentive or reimbursement amount that we could do. And so they talked about increasing that by half if it's above 3,000 square feet. We put this resolution together pretty quickly to accommodate their request. One of the things I think Aaron and I want to talk about a little bit more is making the determination that it's based on the main floor. Because like Mr. Sherburne's building over there, if you're looking at square footage of the store, he's 3 floors. We have a second story loan that we do. So I think everything we do in our downtown is basically on that main store level. So we looked at 3,000 square feet because a lot of the buildings are 22 foot wide by 90 or 100 feet. And it just depends on how they have that layout. So 3,000, if it's an excess of 3,000 square feet, they could go up to $11,250. That's
1.5 times.
1.5 times that 7,500.
And this would just be for the downtown district where the program originally was created for, because those are the ones that
We're trying to preserve our downtown and keep that vital. I think that's kind of where we're looking at that. Now, if the council wishes to approve this or is in agreement with this, they approve this, then the next application is where Mr. Schmitz has submitted his application and the design committee has agreed to approve it up to the $11,250. If it doesn't go into effect, the design committee would say, we'll approve based on the $7,500. But realistically, with the size of the building, we start looking at what we have downtown that would maybe fit that need. And you look at the theater, maybe Gold Shop, Milestone Group, which the banks would probably be the other ones that might have that 3,000 square foot footprint. Palmer's would have a couple buildings.
So, yeah, just like with Roger Lakes, his is a couple different buildings, so.
So if you had a couple buildings, you were able to be eligible for $15,000 because it was $7,500 for each storefront.
1,000 square foot, 1/3 or 11,250
Correct.
Mhm.
But again, it's a reimbursement. You gotta put the money in. And again, as was mentioned, you can't start work for the eligible reimbursement. So he started demolition. Demolition cost is not eligible.
Also, your own labor is not eligible. So if you were handy or doing the work yourself, you cannot submit for your own labor to be reimbursed.
Contractor.
It has
Mhm.
to have a contractor. I get the receipts and the proof that they've paid them. I go through and make sure everything, ask Tim Hines or Tim Vick if there's something I'm not sure about. And then, we bring it back to the council to approve the reimbursement.
I have a question. Is that only for downtown? Say like Brian Gray would want to do that, would that apply to him?
Could apply for the interior, but not we're saying the 1.5 times, or the design committee said the 1.5 times would be limited to the downtown. But a few years, so the downtown incentive program started, I think, in 2002, just before I started. And probably more than 10 years ago, when everything started moving out of the west end, we identified that, hey, we want to keep the east end vibrant and appealing still. So then the council approved extending the downtown or the program to include the commercial area on the east end of town. And then I think a couple years ago, we extended it out so that
North Franklin.
Sue's and the Gathering Place going out that side of town a little bit. Just, we haven't gone west because that side is developing on its own just fine. So yeah, all of the programs I think I don't think there's any that are exclusive to the downtown. I think they're all available
For the most part, yeah.
for the
The
east end as
parking
well.
lot doesn't help the downtown as
Yeah,
much
parking lot is more
because you
for-
don't see as many open lots that you can turn into a parking lot.
Yep. But the facade, the interior.
Yeah. The only one that'd be
story.
questionable, Linda, with Brian's is the sign. He'd have to
Oh.
contract out.
Okay.
To do a sign,
There's no
but
sign.
otherwise facade and
Yeah.
all of that.
Thank you.
Yeah. But we do this, again, this was initially started off as a downtown because we were concerned about our downtown and keeping it vital. Because that's,
Mhm.
if your downtown looks good, that your community looks good, it gives you that impression that people want to be here. We hear a lot of complaints about parking in the downtown. It's always packed. Well, I agree that it's sometimes difficult. You have to park a block or two away. But if there was no cars downtown visually, people would think our downtown's dead. You have that visual stimulus there that people just assume there's things going on. That attracts more
Oldest
activity.
Properties in town too.
Yes,
Mhm. Yeah,
Um, Do you know what the business is gonna be, or is that a surprise?
he is waiting for the lease to get signed because there are some employment things going on. So, but it will not be the church. Initially, it was going to be the church, but because of sound and noise with the upstairs tenants, that wound up being a no-go. So it is a business that is not competitive really with any others, any existing businesses. So sounds like it's a neat opportunity, and that store is right there on the Four Corners too. So getting it filled will be good.
Do what we can to improve our downtown, because like you said, the downtown doesn't stay by. It's pretty hard to do. I like to see those buildings full, and the only way we can keep them full is to give them as much help as we can, and I think this is a great way to help people, and it will be an incentive for somebody to look at Saxville.
Was that a motion, Mary Ann?
I don't know. Can we make motions?
yeah, yes, we are
This
in a
is-
special council meeting at this point.
Then I would make a motion.
Not second.
Any further discussion or questions? Hearing. Joe?
Yes.
Bill?
Yes.
Brian?
Yes.
And Linda?
Yes.
Okay.
Thanks for the help.
Next, item 3.2, I need a motion to approve the downtown incentive interior grant application as recommended by the design committee for 100.
And again, the application has been submitted, been reviewed by the design committee. They are recommending the full amount, but it is a reimbursement based on actual expenditures come in and receipts provide us.
I'll make a motion to approve that. I'll second it.
Bill?
Yes.
Joe?
Yes.
Mary Ann?
Yes.
Linda?
Yes.
And Brian?
Yes.
Okay, is done. Next, we're gonna move on to our committee of the whole. It's been a while since we've all seen each other. And we understand some people need to get places tonight. We're gonna start with Ben first.
So before I get into the big docket, I'm just gonna get a quick update on the things that goes up to the applicants. This is been certified, uncertified, so we'll probably upload it this week and we'll start in backgrounds and like keep you up to date as much. The biggest thing for us, and that's why I have JJ here, is the dog pound. So, JJ, you want to kind of kick all this off with the inspection first, and then I'll take over?
Sure. So we, last week, was it last week? I can't remember the exact date, but we had an inspection with the state, lady. Normal inspection, yearly inspection, basically the inspection went well. I mean, other than learning some new things that they're expecting out of us, basically as a city, as city and a town. One of them was, and I don't know the chapter, I don't know the exact rule on it, but they want every dog or every cat now that comes into our facility. The minute we're supposed to take it to the veterinary clinic and give them shots. So rabies, distemper, and parvo shot, basically. Now in that ordinance or rule, it says adequate amount of time. Adequate amount of time. What is that adequate amount of time? I couldn't get them to give me that answer. You know, I couldn't say 3 days, 4 days, 2 weeks, 5 weeks, whatever, you know, but,
Is that for
So-
the owner to come forward to
No,
retrieve
that's,
their animal?
that's just to get us to, so essentially what happens is we pick up a dog or a cat. They haven't really outlined what a reasonable amount of time is, but we are required by law now that we have to, if they come down and inspect us randomly, and we have animals that are in that kennel. If we don't have the documentation prove that they have the shots that are now required by state law, we are subject to a fine.
Yeah.
So we kind of tested it with one that we have. It was like $140 to get one dog, the shots that were required because it's been there. Right, just to make sure that
Right.
based on whatever we got from the state was still up to code. She came back to give us a passing thing because that's what we have there. But looking at it going forward, I now have a concern because we took up quite a few animals throughout the year. Asked numerous times, different portions of the Department of Agriculture, what is a reasonable amount of time? Like, what can I put into a city code that says by this date, we have to do shots, and we haven't been able to be provided. So we're kind of throwing a toss in the air of if we get randomly inspected and if it's 3 days, is that reasonable to them? Because I think most of everybody who knows that we're kind of judged by larger cities and municipalities. I don't know if what's reasonable at that level is reasonable for Manchester. So I have some genuine concerns because of money, right? It's gonna get very expensive if we continue to pick up dogs. You know, if we set forth a time frame, and that's $140 for every dog or cat that comes in. Yes, if the owner comes and claims it, we can put that on top of, you know, whatever fees it is to get the money back. But we have a lot of animals. So we're gonna start getting out that money, and then you got on top of that, any adoption fees, anything else that's potentially wrong with the animal. And right now, our current budget for the animal control, it's not gonna facilitate that long term. And that's just these specific codes that were cited with these changes. We're not even talking about the amount of times that JJ gets called out, hours that are paid to him, off duty, coming out and helping, which we are greatly appreciative of. But again, I'm kind of asking council, you know, we have one of two options, right? We can either exponentially increase the budget for animal control, right? We're gonna have to really sit down and develop how many hours JJ puts into it, what our average, you know, probably do like a 3-year cost benefit analysis of how many dogs we pick up, what that looks like per year. And then tack on the vet bills and everything else that could be possible with that. And I know just the prelim of it, you're looking at probably like a 5 to 6K increase from where we're at. The other option, remove the dog pound. Which means we could still pick up an animal and take it to a vet. The vet could still be responsible for said costs. It's how we did in our last agency. And I will tell you that, again, if we pick up a dog and nobody claims, the city still is responsible for those fees, the housing and everything else. Right? If we brought it in, we're still kind of on the hook for that if nobody claims. So unfortunately, we've talked about it for the last couple of weeks. We just kind of want to give you guys the information. And kind of ask us whatever questions you want through email, whatever information you need. But since we're in a budget time, we're moving forward, I kind of need to know, what standard operating procedures gonna look like. Am I telling my guys that we're not picking up dogs anymore? Are we only picking them up on certain, requirements? Or are we continuing what we're doing and just increasing the budget of the animal? State codes, I can email them out to you guys. I've researched them. There's not a lot of wiggle room in those. It's just one of those things where, we didn't really have a say in the changes, but I also don't want to get, randomly audited. And then we get in trouble with fines on top of already spending money on animals. I just kind of see the bleeding happening fairly quickly if that happens.
Have we already been doing the shots
Mm-mm.
when they come in? We haven't
So
been,
currently, we have a dog in there and we have 2 cats.
right?
And so she inspected me, it was 2 weeks ago, and then she came back last week, the same gal.
Right.
I believe Olivia is her name, but anyway, she came back and re-inspected the pound, because there was one issue, the dog I had in there, I had in the south run, well, I moved it up 2 runs to spray out that area. She came before I got back and sprayed that out right after lunch, and she docked me on it. So that she came back to come back and make sure I cleaned it, and then gave me leeway, I have to repaint the floor again, which we just did 4 or 5 months ago. But the dogs, they with their toenails, they keep tearing up the paint. So we're back at it. It's just a nonstop thing with, as far as painting wise. So she did also state, well, I didn't got an email back from her, but we passed as far as when she came back. But she says she will be back April 30th, June 1st in that area to see if we got the pit floor painted or not. So they gave us an extension to that point.
Does that floor have to be painted, JJ, for code?
What's that?
Does the floor have to be painted for code or?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So last year, when it was in the middle of July, when she visited last year, she said the floor had to be painted, so we put the bandana on it and paint away, sweat her up, and we got her done, so.
So I have a question. Does this include animals that you take because they've been taken from the owner because of other reasons too?
Well, so with one of our cases earlier, that was another thing, because again, JD, that's where it falls on us to work with the humane societies or the rescue programs prior to exercising that stuff.
Okay.
One of the cases that we had, I was very adamant with the officers that prior to executing anything, we needed to make sure that a rescue program was here with a trailer that was able and had the utilities to take any single animal that they chose they needed. And that's kind of how we would run that section in the future, is we would have to, because again, even now rescues and everybody else, they're running thin too. Even for the dog that we have now, we can, it's breed specific and other things. It makes it very difficult for these rescues to want to help or even have the ability to help. So we're kind of stuck in a rock and a hard place, and that kind of just needs direction from the council. Because I will tell you, if we remove the pound, there are going to be people that are upset. It's just become something that people are so used to us doing, is calling us with, I'm not talking about a wombat or some crazy animal that we can take out and let out in the country, right? With the dogs, it's become a thing that we're used to doing. And it will be a very quick and sudden change that if somebody calls us and we're not able to do that or facilitate the funds to do that, it will rough us. So I want direction from you guys on what you think would be the best route. Please email me with any questions you have. Come down and call me and talk to me. I need to know where to go.
Would be nice to have the data as far as how many dogs do you deal with, dogs and cats every year. I mean, we should have that over the years, right? The data that, the average, and then when them are claimed, how much do we expect to get revenue back? Because the owner would have to pay that shot fee then. In order to get them back. And then, of course, some that would pay, just keep the dog and
that's what I mean. It's tough as it is again.
right.
We're assuming that, every owner is going to come claim their dog and pay us the money then, which we've already put into it. And I guarantee you probably 70% of that will happen.
Yeah.
But if that 30% starts to add up, right? Because even then, we've got JJ's time that has to go down every single day, make sure the animal's fed, watered, runs are clean, all these things. And how long do we have that pit bull now? 5 months?
Yeah, so I had it initially from a case where we had removed And I adopted it out. Unfortunately, the person that adopted it out, or adopted it too, I found the dog out of Strand Park. It was basically hung up on one of the pieces of equipments out there. So when I went back, I had run back to the shop to get a kennel, and I went to come back on, get it, it broke loose. Well, I had to do my little thing and try to get a hold of it, and I got it finally. So I've had it since January 23rd, and I can't get a hold. We've had it on Facebook numerous times, shared it. All the other rescues are in the same boat that we are. They would take it from me if, let's say tomorrow we decided that we're gonna close the pound. They will take the dog from me because one, they don't want it to be, not that we'd euthanize it, because we haven't done any of that, but they want it to go to a safe home. So then they would take the dog off of our hands, and then basically just so that way it's a done deal. But if they don't have to right now, because they know we're gonna feed it, that's where it's gonna stay, is with us. So it's kind of dang if you do, dang if you don't situation, you know, so.
So that we incur money for food, you know, and then also for JJ, you know, that's a daily thing. You're coming in to care for the animal. So, and if it, you know, now JJ and another employee, they would be coming in to care for the animal.
Is there any grant money for the food?
We've had one person come up and talk about like, you know, funding and stuff like that, but nothing really comes to fruition. And I can't imagine our population size. I mean, just looking at grants for law enforcement in general, there's not a lot out there. So even if we are, we're getting beat out most of the time by these rescues for the grant money.
Right.
Being that we're, the lady that I was talking to that stepped forward once before after she got to looking into it, she basically said, being that we're a city municipality that's funding it, that excludes us from those certain grants. Now, if you was a private individual, let's say yourself, Joe, you started up your own pound, you would be able to go ahead and apply for some of those grants on your end of it. So being that you wouldn't be funded by the city.
I don't think we bring any more animals.
Wow.
got a good sized dog.
Yeah, well, I'm already in trouble for that.
I sweet talked your wife into one other time.
Yeah, well, thanks.
When we've approached a couple other communities about how they handle it, and I think Dyersville, don't they keep them for a little bit, but then they have a contract with the Dubuque? Is it the Dubuque Humane Society? So, you know, just depending on the direction you give us, that might be another avenue, having us reach out and see if we could contract with them somehow.
Do they
to take.
still have to be inspected though, even though they're holding the dog for a short period of time and then take it to the?
Yeah, they're still gonna want it to be up to date on shots.
I think that's the biggest issue is, I mean, that place,
Well,
the paint you're putting on the floor isn't the right paint to start with. And the facility is shot. I mean,
It is. It's just yeah.
That's the big issue. What
And it's just a struggle of how much you really want.
well, and then like with the shots, so this pit bull you got the first time around, you get shots on it, and then it goes out, comes back in. Or do you have to give them shots again, or since you can? prove
Since I
that-
have a proof of a copy of the vaccinations of current, then I'm good. So
Okay.
now I have, like I said, with the dog and the two cats, I have current vaccinations for all three.
Okay,
So she knows that now. Let's say I have a year from now or so, I don't know how long it takes to see the expiration, but if she comes back, they're still there, they better be up to date.
right.
So.
But she did not give you any indication what the
The
time.
code just reads a reasonable amount of time, which is the worst thing ever, because
She tried to ask her, her boss, and we're still where we're at here, so.
you know, because again, I think that sometimes, again, smaller communities just fall the wayside when we talk about comparison of the municipalities, right?
Right.
You go to Des Moines, you go to Cedar Rapids, you go to Dubuque, they probably have a full-time animal control officer with full-time animal control facilities. Their reasonableness is completely different from ours. Where if we find a dog, you can call JJ at 8 PM, he's gotta come down, feed the animal, log the information, get to the shots. So they're not able to really tell us a standard, right? A specific outline, this is what would be reasonable. But also, again, that's why I hate it, is because, you know, is the state able to say a week for me is reasonable, or is it just the inspector that comes down and says, well, that's unreasonable? I really don't have that answer because it doesn't exist.
How many man hours do you figure you got invested into the pound with just 3 animals in there right now a week?
When you go in there, I mean, you can feed them really quick and water them and you can be in there and out of there and. I mean, mess with the litter 20, 30 minutes, you know, but then I come back and in the afternoon and I also recheck on them, make sure they got water, because that's a huge thing. If they come in and there's no water in that dish, you're in for it.
Yeah.
So you check back in, I'd say a strong hour a day, easy. And then that doesn't maybe include spraying off the outside roof, making sure there's no feces on it, so. Hour plus, you know.
Nice looking to see if you would. Or Cedar Rapids would take some of our.
Do you work with Heroes Haven at all?
I've worked with Heroes Havens, I've worked with Glasgow. New one that I kind of got into, I'm in just the talking stages is, animal welfare, out of Monticello.
Oh, okay.
Couple of nice ladies there, got talking to them online, so there's options, you know, but, you know, they're.
Contracting that new dog spot out there by Collins.
Wolfie?
Movies.
Cause they got them runs. Is that what that, I don't know if that's even an option.
I'm not sure how she's got that set up.
Cause then it being that she's a private business, she'd be able to get possibly grant money for food.
She uses that for boarding, doesn't she?
Right, but I mean, like,
Yeah.
she's got. I don't know what her capacity is, if it's even possible, but I mean, is it an avenue we can look into to see if maybe that's something where we could contract?
And she fills up bats for board.
That she, yeah, I mean, I don't know, I mean, I've been out there and seen the facility, but I don't know what it looks like now, because it was. First started, that was.
We can always ask the question.
Yes.
Mhm.
Even then, we still probably have to go back and amend the city code to determine what is reasonable for us, because, you know, if we do choose to continue, then we would still have to give JJ direction on how many days is gonna be in the town before we do send it off that contract. And then even then, what that looks like, if they require any, or if they're doing it, how to have to put that in there, so that you have something as far as if the state comes poking around, we have a definitive answer on what we're doing.
Yeah, because if we set a date, we say 4 days, 5 days, whatever, then they come back and say, well, that's not reasonable. Well, to who?
Yeah.
To us it is. So
Especially
we
if
can-
you get it on Friday, nothing's open till Monday.
And so we can also say too, like, you know, hey, we have a standard operating procedure, this is what we're reasonable for our resources. Here's where the animal went, you know, they can follow up and go to the next spot, but we would need something copying the city code to say, you know, at 48, 72, whatever hours, you know, at that point, you will go to the contract with the agency and absorb all fees or whatever.
Yeah, and the financial aspect of it too is a lot of times that these animals that we do pick up, the people who have lost them don't always have the means to even cover the cost of the daily care. You know, so then we tack on another $140 or $150 to the daily care fee and all of that. I don't know if people are just gonna start surrendering.
They'll
those
surrender,
dogs.
they probably won't even pick them up.
It kind of sounds like they can't afford it to start.
Okay.
Sometimes dogs run because of fireworks and stuff like that.
And that's gonna happen, you know.
Yeah.
Most of the majority of it, I know what they belong to, you know, and most of them have tagging their friend. Take them back to their owners and done with it, you know.
Right.
It's like 30-35%, that's where it gets expensive, because it's small. Where we stand right now, it's months on end,
Right.
time and
Mhm.
food and everything else, that's where you start getting.
Put together a proposal for the council along with the information as far as number of animals, how long they've stayed there. And again, I do believe this is gonna be an issue because if we tack on $160, whatever, we're gonna start seeing more animals being dumped. With the dog we have right now that we've had for 2 months, we're not getting that daily care fee out of that dog when we adopt it out.
I don't think, no matter what we do, I don't think that it's gonna be accepted widely by everybody. So.
Ben and JJ will work on that information. We'll get that to you, to the council.
Like I said, if you have other questions or something about it, shoot me an email, so I can say, well, try to get it to you guys as soon as I can.
Great, thank you. Chad.
Since we've met, so I've had some Some meetings,
John,
Thanks, Ben.
we had already have an AWWA meeting up at the fairgrounds where we host. We had 130-ish. City guys up there getting CUs, keep their water licenses. Tomorrow, meeting with Ryan and Dave Mack with the NRCS. 1:30-ish. We're gonna start looking at different avenues to potentially get with some landowners and find some projects / funding for stormwater runoff. Trying to find some places outside of the city limits, potentially to help slow water down before it gets to town. We're gonna take a lot of the stuff that we studied and spent a lot of time on with my previous wellhead protection committee and see if we can't find new funding sources or willing participants to put some practices out there on the landscape to help with some of our flooding issues. Did out the good neighbor from up there, in West Schulte's property. Tomorrow, planning on sending Jeremy to, there's a trailing class over at the Butte County Fairgrounds. So that would be like for line locating for water with our trail machine. The actual people that we purchased our trail machine from, they're putting on this short little class. It's free of charge, so, and they get, Dream will get dinner too on the deal, but it's always good to go to those. There's so many different things that machine can do and keeping up on it. Trust me, it's tough. You don't use it every single day, which we don't, you kind of forget some of the little trinkets that it's got. Other things, dog park, we completed the water lines today. So they're over the doggy drinking fountains. That we've had a couple leaks here and there. Weather's getting nicer, so Jason and I will get together and start lining up all the repairs, whether it's a street or curb or yard. One of them will have to repair a sprinkler or their lawn irrigation system. Well, 4 roof replacement is completed, so that's it's got the thin fastener steel on it. I got that done in like 2 days. We've been slowly picking away at some outlets inside the well houses. Just with the fluoride in the air and the chlorine in the air, those are very corrosive, so they're hard on electrical components. So we're just slowly going through swapping those out as we see them, and then been adding some. They're pretty much like your outside outlet cover, kind of biblically, so they kind of see them off a little bit to try prolonging the life of the outlets. Our high school job shadow kid, Aiden Zertzman, he is done with his program. He's out for golf, but may come to you guys with possibly looking at doing something with him this summer. Utilizing him. He was very, very, very smart kid that caught on to a lot of our stuff real quick, and it'd be nice to possibly have him come back in this summer as it'd be a job, a paid position. So we could have him go out and catch up on GIS work. Since we do all that in-house, it gets to be a lot trying to keep up on it and then try to get ahead on curb stops. So we got about half the town EPS in on curb stops. So that's a pretty big one for us, is being able to pull the curb stops up, because like when we go do shut offs in the winter, even for locates, anybody that's out in the locate, it's nice to kind of have a good idea where those are. The last little cold spat, we had a handful of frozen meters again. On that forefront, I met with our meter supplier. The iPros that we have gone with, the plastic meter, they're not freeze proof, but they're not, their freeze point's higher than brass. So all the other plumbing in the house should be freezing and breaking, and we're not seeing that. So we've had a lot of them on these new ones, freeze and break. So they came up, picked up 3 random ones that we had set aside that were froze. And they're gonna send them back to the factory to see what's going on with them. Because the last house that we dealt with, the interior plumbing was Quest. Quest is like the grandfather of PEX, and it's very brittle. Not the best material, but for the meter to freeze and break and none of the PEX, it's kind of
Odd.
very odd,
Mhm.
so. Side of that.
Questions for Jen? Right, so big things that we've been working on, of course, the summer reading, seems really funny to be talking about that already, but, I wanted to let you guys know, we, have all of our large programs paid for by donations. One, from F&M Bank, the staff did a soup, and then they gave us some, a donation through that. And so that's one of the programs, and then the Friends of the Library are sponsoring the other 3 big programs that we have. So it's not the whole summer programming, but it's the big things that cost, $550 a piece for an hour program and things like that. So that is all paid for, I think, it's about $1,800, so. Casey's also is donating 10 dozen donuts for our summer reading kickoff. So we're going to have a donut, forget to sign up for summer reading. And it ended up working out well. We haven't ever used Casey's as a sponsor, and it was really easy to fill out the form. And we asked for 20 dozen, but we ended up getting 10. But that's gonna cover a good portion of it. I was talking to my friends because I had to do it through through the Friends Committee. And they said, do you think that'll be enough? And I said, I'll probably still get another, maybe 5 dozen, because for the weekend, for the day of, if I tell them that we have donuts, we're gonna have 120 people.
Right.
15 kids probably.
Right.
And that doesn't count any adults coming to sign up.
Right.
So I'll probably get another 5 dozen and just use our programming money or some donation money there. Today we did Stop the Bleed training this morning with the staff. And so now we have a kit, and that's through the Delaware County. Crystal DeShaw did that. She's doing another one, I think, on April 14th with the fire station. I think a couple of my people that weren't able to get to this one because of sickness are going to that one as well. So really good information. We were able to get our hands on, I mean, it's not real person or anything, but get our hands on a tourniquet and learn how to pack things and stuff. So it was good hands-on. And then big thing that's going on this week, we're having a fraud program with F&M Bank at 5:30 on Wednesday. The police will be there too. I think it will be Ben and Travis will be there as well. And there's food registration required because there is food. So we're trying to get that out there. There's not a lot of people signed up, but that tends to happen. People don't sign up and they just come. So I'm guessing we'll have more than what we have signed up. And then the last thing, tomorrow, or sometime this week, I shouldn't say tomorrow, we have some news that I think you guys know. We've been working on the logo for the library, and the board has approved this logo here. It's a couple different versions of it. So this is going on to Instagram and Facebook this week. I'm just gonna sure. Sorry.
No, you're good.
So that is what we decided. We have a art major, somebody who graduated last year on our staff. And when I talked to her about this, she was very interested in being able to help out. She came up with 7 different logos to start. And then we narrowed it down to pretty much the one logo. And then she kind of made it colorful and things. And I said, so she came up with 3 different kind of options. And depending on what we use it for, if we're gonna put on a shirt, we might want one specific, kind of depends. So that kind of where it started was we
we don't have a place to get our shirts that we used to get at Land's End because they're really expensive.
Yeah.
So we're looking at having a better logo to go onto shirts locally here. And so, but I thought we might as well just do it before we get the shirts that we can. So that's what we're going with, and it will be posted. So you're kind of the first to see it other than the board and the staff. But we're really excited about it. Something that, that we've been working on for a while.
We can put this on with the Facebook page and web page.
Yeah, so it will go, yes, so it's not on the webpage. It will, with the day that we put it onto Instagram and Facebook, it will go onto our other things that we have. We've already used it a little bit. You might have seen it maybe on the fraud
Okay.
through the F&M did the
Right.
promos for that, and so it was already there. But Ben Engelken is on my
Yeah.
board, so he's like, can I just grab that? I'm like, yeah. So, yeah.
Very creative. I like it.
Yeah, it turned out good, and putting books, I mean, she had all kinds of stuff. She did one that kind of matched, didn't match, but it was similar to that. She had one that looked like the river coming out of books. Like, it was really neat, but for somebody who doesn't live right here or would have, some people don't think about those, things, but we narrowed it down to a couple, and that's what we ended up with, so.
And you got my letter of
I
support?
did, yes,
Okay.
thank you. I think I shared with you guys that I applied for the foundation grant for accessible materials. So I'll speak with them actually on Thursday morning. They're having their board meeting at 7:30 at the library. And so I'll speak with them about past grants and then also this grant that we just closed on the 12th. So my fingers that we get a good grant there, and we can really update our materials. So
Just so the public knows, because they're not talking very kindly about our libraries these days, but we support our library and we support the things that you're doing for our community. So thank you.
well, we appreciate it. It's really important to have that support from the city. And I mean, we do so much more than just books and things like that. And I think that's hard.
They lose focus of that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think everybody understands all the things that we do. So,
Yep.
yeah.
So thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Anything, questions, anyone? Allison here before she leaves. Have fun at the concert.
All right. Thank you.
So we're gonna go on to the next item on our meetings. That's before we go.
Go
the
to our
rest of
agenda.
it. Okay, yep, sanitary sewer camera replacement. Is that?
How about her?
I guess what
I'll be using it.
Yeah, well, we're just looking, we want to move forward with getting something going. And they're, what do you say, 12 to 14 weeks out. And we'd like to, if we're gonna move forward with it, we'd like to be able to have delivery of it July 1. So we're looking for your guys' approval to be able to move forward with at least speaking for this and getting moving before there's.
Just sit down and
Yeah.
go through everything. Everything is what we want and get it ordered.
Yeah.
I thought we did that.
We haven't budgeted, we haven't approved the budget yet. But with the lead time, it makes sense if this is something we feel confident that we're gonna go forward with, to go ahead and at least get the order so that we can get that delivered, hopefully by the middle of June, so we have a payment in July.
We have to.
You would have to approve the,
And we would do this Monday night. We'd bring this back to the council to approve on the regular meeting Monday night.
do you think we'll have an estimate by then?
We already have it.
Cause I'll need it tomorrow.
The last I talked to him 2 weeks ago, this quote's still good.
Okay, you wanna get confirmation tomorrow and we'll get it tomorrow.
And that was the 115.
Yeah.
Budget, Brian was 150. The
15.
bid was a little less than
So
that.
it's right around 100.
104 or something, but that didn't include a few wheels that we wanted on the camera and stuff,
Right.
another
But
1,000 here or
115
there.
115 was budgeted, so we'll be below that.
So we should look forward to seeing it Monday.
Yes. If the council's okay with us, bring it for you on Monday. If you want us to wait, we'll wait, but
He'll be here in early April to sit down and go over stuff on a few other things Jason has, but I'd really like to be able to firm some stuff and get it in the process if we can. Because there's a lot of stuff we need a camera right now. We're just kind of sitting on that. If we don't order it till new budget year and all, into August before delivery.
Be proactive.
And
Am I hearing everything? Or you guys are fine from Friday, Monday night?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Next, park department, your pickup replacement.
Yes. So we've got 40,000 budgeted this year for this budget for this,
Current.
for the new truck. And we had 3 bids, 3 quotes come, Victory Ford, Rundy Ford, and Stevens. Victory was the low. It was a 2025 Ford F-150 for $37,090. Rundy was a 2024 Ford F-150 for 39 and 39,355. So that one doesn't make sense unless you wanted to go local, but we also had one from Steven Motors that is 39,610 for a 2025 Chevy that has 4-door. So it would be a little bit, Stevens a little bit higher, but it is local. It is 2025. It's a Chevy and it's 4-door. So the low would be Victory. If you're gonna go with the low, Victory makes sense. If you wanna go with Steven and stay local, it's 2,500 more for it's a Chevy instead of a Ford, but it also has the 4-door, which is nice for
The Chevy,
and the parts guys being able to get in and out supplies.
yeah, the Chevy's a true crew cab, whereas the Ford is an extended cab. What's the bed
The
boxes, I guess?
the Chevys don't actually do like suicide
Yeah.
doors where the Fords are like that and Chevy's an actual true. It's not a crew cab, but it's an
Okay.
extended cab. But
Okay.
with true
The double
four
cab.
door, double cab. Yep, there you go. That's the
That's
Terminology there, yeah.
for JJ. I'll speak for JJ too, is with his toilet paper and all that stuff. It would be handy, but he'll live with what he's not.
He
fussy about
said he
what-
doesn't care. I mean, I know if he were to give a choice, he's a Chevy guy. And I think the 4-door would be a little easier, but he's not gonna bat an eyelash on any of these. So if you wanna go lowest, then that'd be Victory.
I think just go with what makes the most sense.
Nice to do it in town. I mean,
Right,
get
but I'm-
around town. But,
I mean, as far as the crew cab. I mean,
but yeah, I
that
do
makes the
too.
most
I think
sense.
Ford was
Right.
fantastic.
And it's local.
Get to a lot of them, you flip up those back seats and that thing is
Yeah.
huge. You can throw all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, he's in and out. The bed's a little smaller than it would be, but he's in and out of the back, or he or any of the parks guys are in and out of the back getting garbage bags, toilet paper, paper towels, tools, anything else. So be a little more convenient for that. Plus it's a little.
What is it, $2,500 difference?
2560, I think, 20, yeah.
Bring it back on Monday
Monday.
for council official approval. We just want a direction on what.
Where you're
What you're
looking at
thinking.
whether it was the absolute low dollar or if local played a role in this.
And that was a 24 versus.
No, they're
It's
25.
All 25.
Grundy's was the 24 and it was higher than Victory.
Okay.
Stevens is a 25 Chevy.
Chevy,
And it's about the same as what Rundy is, but it's 25
right.
and Chevy instead of a Ford. So, yeah.
And that thing I look at is if something never goes wrong with the Chevy, that would be under warranty. It's fixed here. Otherwise, it might have to go back there. Nothing.
Just keep the water turned off.
He left.
Yeah, he left.
I'm glad he did, because I don't know if I would have enjoyed the local.
Okay, so we will bring it back to you Monday.
And we're looking at the Chevy, which makes the most sense for.
Well, we'll give you the list and you can make a decision.
I think that makes sense, but it's not gonna matter. It's a new truck. It's gonna be fine.
They still fall within the budget because the council had budgeted 40,000 for the truck out of this fiscal year.
I think Kyle said there was 6 to 8 weeks on the Chevy lead time, so which is not what you
We have anything to trade in?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, the existing park truck. Yep, they're 4,500 in that trading.
And that's one that JJ drives now, correct?
Yes.
How many miles are on that, you know?
74, I think.
Yeah, it's-
Don't quote me on that 100%, but it's in the 70s. I think it was 74.
A lot of stop and go.
It's well used.
Any further questions? All right, we're gonna move on. We've been talking about doing a new comprehensive plan for the city.
Yep.
We have some information on that.
So I have drafted request for qualifications. It is a draft. So I'm asking you to go through that. We'll come back at the next committee of the whole meeting to finalize that draft. It'll take some time to go out and select the engineers or the planning firm on that. And see what my timeline was on that draft again. But basically send that out to a couple firms, get them to turn around by the time we do the interviews, review the proposals, select them, and then what their time frame is to get it turned around. Comprehensive plan updates, they'll tell you they can probably do it in 6 months. I'll tell you it'll be a year. It just takes that much time to go through everything. But I would like you to review what was proposed. If I missed something that you would like us to include in that, or if you think there's something that we don't need to look at, let me know. But I'd like to get that firmed up so we can get that submitted. Budgeting 40,000. I had one firm tell me that I might be a little light on that, but we'll see.
Is that what you said?
I would like the council to give me some information. I want you to have time to review it and provide us with the feedback. And actually, first part of April, yeah, because we'll have a committee of the whole meeting on the 7th and then council meeting on the 14th. So
7th, we have a special meeting.
Oh,
The
yeah.
budget, we have
No.
two special meetings.
Not completely done with the budget.
We're close, but yeah. Well, we can still talk about it on the 7th. It'd just be a second meeting.
Yeah, because we will have a second meeting to set the public hearing for the actual budget, the final.
Yeah. Not by the 7th, please.
All right, so, we'll finish up with the rest of everything. Let's see, Jason, did you have anything else you wanted to add for tonight? No?
You want to do our updates right now too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So we've been, Dubuque, mulch started out at the compost site. And, they did an awesome job, ground all the big wood. And hauled off everything just like what our plan was. So it went really well. We have a big pile of wood chips back there now for the trails and Doug's frisbee golf when we get going on that and whatever else. And then, like I said, today we're working on storm cleanup, so it's filling back up out there already, but we've been doing a lot of sewer work. And there has been a ton of roots in whatever we're doing. I mean, it's crazy what we're dealing with. So we've had a couple backups here lately. I don't think anything real crazy, but we have had a few emergencies. Friday, we cleaned out the frisbee golf area, transported all the concrete slabs down to the vicinity where the new one's going. So we should be able to reuse everything that was up there. And today, like I said, we started working out at the dog park. Tomorrow we'll get started grading out, and then Wednesday doesn't look like a good day. So we'll probably try to get everything graded and rocked. And then as soon as it gets fitting in, we're gonna be ready to start pouring some concrete out there. Scott will be kind of leading that deal up out there. I have been getting some quotes. I do have some quotes for our asphalt mill and overlays that we talked about, the 50,000. I do have those back, and depending on which streets we do end up doing, Kleesner Construction was the low on those. But I'll be bringing that to you when we decide where we're gonna go and what areas. So, and then I've also been starting to think about getting some patches lined up to do on Hansel and Line Street, some full depth patching up there that we'll do in-house also. Sometime this summer, that both of those streets are not in good shape, so they're bad. So it's one of those, where do you start and where do you stop up there? But we're gonna try to hit some of the worst at least. And we did that Acre Street several years ago and it helped a lot. So, working on that. And then I think somebody had a question at one time about the last time about might have been you, Linda, about the real deals, the curb out there.
Yes.
I looked into
Yes.
that and we could use another speed zone sign out there and a snow emergency route. But it's a 2x2 post, so it's not really gonna deter them a whole lot from what, you know. And I know they're gonna be really upset with me when I go and put something in there for snow removal.
Mhm.
So, I'll do what you guys want, if you want another speed zone sign in there to try to help. But like I said, it's a 2x2 square, so it's not like it may help a little bit, but
2 inch by 2 inch square.
yeah.
Not too like.
2x2, yeah, 2 inch by 2 inch.
I get one.
Yeah. The only other option would really be is if we went out there and put a couple ballards in there. And I know that it's not Simon's now, but the co-op and those that move the snow out there would probably not be real happy with me. So.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just asking, because I talked about this last year, the four-way stop out there on West Marion Street where you turn to go down south, is it third, whatever it takes you.
South
towards
Fifth.
South Fifth towards Baumgartner Gate and all that area.
Yep.
Did we get anything?
We started taking some traffic counts. The DOT will be doing traffic counts this summer. So that's kind of what I want to use because they'll have those set up instead of what we have right now where it's just one direction for, typically good for a week. We'll go with what the DOT puts those cables across and then we'll have an idea of what happens that day. It may make sense for us to look at going to a four-way stop there.
It's crazy. I've seen way too many. I mean, we use that a lot.
Yeah.
And it's more highly traveled. People stay off Franklin so much and they use that as the other way. And so I've just seen it too many times and I've almost been hit myself a couple of times. So, and another one that I really think that, and I don't know who we talked to about is up here where Prano is, or the old Prano, what it used to be. When school's out, I mean, it's just high traffic times of the day, but it's any time of the day. I don't know if it wouldn't make sense to have them in there sometimes too, or something you just pull out. They used to pull out
There
one.
used to be
that a lot. So
when
Yeah, at
And
school.
the school was responsible for doing that.
The school is.
Yeah,
So-
when for school hours, they had that in the past. They've stopped doing that. I think they pull something out during school hours up around Doctor Street.
Yeah, doctor.
Because those, no offense to young kids, but they just. And it's not safe for a lot of elderly people. We got older population coming this way. Down this way a lot now too, so I just, might be kind of nice. Something to look at. It's been brought to my attention a couple of times, so anyway. Thank you, Phil.
Yep.
Any word on East Main?
No, I have not. I'll try to give him a call so I can follow up. I was waiting to have this tonight because I'm gonna be breaking the news to him that they were the low bidder on the other asphalt projects that we want to do, so.
Submit your different.
No, it'll be August before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else, Jason?
That's it.
Okay, perfect. Doug, did you have anything else? to add?
Yeah, I did. So just to quickly reiterate and give a little quick timeline of what you heard is, so the dog park and disc golf course, disc golf is done behind RMC. I will hope to get that, laid out, or at least I have an idea, but to actually get it kind of carved through the woods a little bit in that area between the dog park and the wastewater plant sometime here in the next month or two, and then give a chance to kind of actually get it set and laid out and ready to go by the end of the summer. And I don't think that'll be a problem. So to give you that timeline.
Well, I did a little bit on what we talked about, that low area, that's gonna be part of 2 holes. We're gonna do that well.
Yeah, so there's, in order, it might be hard for you to envision, but the last few holes will come through the woods and there will be, if it goes through is how I think it will lay out perfectly, is there will be a hole that comes out into the yard, I guess I'll say on the west side of the drive, to the wastewater plant. And then there will be another tee box that starts out that way as well. And so if you look at that, it's kind of a slope area.
It's a real low area, comes up to.
It's a real low area. And then so to kind of try to deter people from getting crazy, throwing discs too far, or, keeping them in that area, we're going to try to plant some wildflower, a row or a stretch of wildflowers along that edge. Got the seeding for it. Perry's going to do some plantings inside of his fence anyway. So one will be beneficial, two, it'll look nice, and three, it'll kind of give a little bit of a deterrent or a boundary, so to speak. So I think it'll look really nice, and we could mow a path that leads from the hole to the next tee box and have it look neat. So
Cool. Did you have to take that disc off that?
I did, yeah.
How wide that buffer strip will go?
Oh, it's probably a good 50 feet or so on the south end.
And then it narrows out.
That plant don't really set north and south, but. And then as it gets up closer to our sign out by the street, it'll just narrow back down in the woods, so.
It'd be beneficial, it'll also,
Could help with the mowing
cut
contract.
down on mowing, yeah.
Next time.
So help a little bit for, it's not a bunch, but it's a little bit, so it'll help. So then I will have to get, obviously, new layout for all the signs and all that good stuff and get it figured out, but there is some things that go online with that as well. A lot of the disc golfers nowadays look online, so that has been shut down on UDisc, which is the app and the website, so stating that it'll be relocated. So, and then I'll obviously let everybody know and push that out when we get closer to actually reopening it. But I've already had a few phone calls, some people were concerned that we weren't gonna be putting it back in, but it'll go back in, it'll be nice. It's just a bummer because where it was at was a really good location, but completely understand and know they gotta do, make do with the new location.
Doug, were you able to pull any of?
All of it.
Where you were?
Everything, Jason's crew got all the tee pads out, all the baskets were out, yeah, so really it won't, there's gonna be minimal cost to redo it. There'll be a little bit associated with it, but not much at all.
There was just a couple of the bases, I think, that got bent a little bit. We might have to get a couple sleeves.
Yes, so how it is there's an anchor that gets concreted in, and then the basket gets put on it, and then there's a padlock. So you could have different, it's kind of like moving a hole on a green, so you could have a couple different ones where you can move it. A couple of them got bent, nothing major, we can fix them back up. And they're not, even if we had to buy new ones, they're not too terribly expensive. So it's gonna be a little bit of work, a little bit of quickcrete, some redoing some signs and cutting down. We'll have to, I'll probably need to get a company to come in and kind of mow some paths through the woods like we did behind RMC to make fairways through the scrub trees back in there, but that's should be done. A little clean up, and then like he said, it's got wood chips that we'll be able to utilize to keep it knocked down, keep the weeds down, and that wood chip mulch, the new stuff will work really well for just about everything but playgrounds. So we'll still be purchasing wood chips for the playgrounds because that's certified safety mulch. The stuff that we've got here will work great for trees and gardens and disc golf courses and anything else. So there's a bunch of it. It'll get put to good use. And then the dog park, the fence posts are in. Once we get the concrete poured, they'll come back, finish the rest of the fence. And talked with Bill Stock, he's fabricating the drinking fountains as we speak or soon, waiting for a few parts to come in, so we should be able to get those in as well. And then after Monday, we'll order in shade structures and get those ready to roll. Those will be a little bit out too, but it's all coming together nicely, and as long as we get some good weather and can make everything planned, scheduled, should fall together nicely. So I'm targeting May 1st as the open date for the dog park. I don't think that'll be a problem barring a setback, but I think we'll easily be able to pull that one. Of course, we had a windstorm and the parks never seem to go unscathed. So we had 2 trees down in Terrell Park, 2 large pine trees in Terrell. They right next to the band shell, one on the east side, one on the west side. The one on the east side fell down, hit the bleachers outside the pool, hit the fence. The bleachers are banged up pretty good. The fence isn't terrible, but it's gonna need a little bit of repair. Also knocked off one of the security cameras that was on the band shell and the Wi-Fi antenna. The camera's not as big a deal if we replace those, but the Wi-Fi antenna is to get internet through the parks and to the cameras. And then, of course, we had to get those trees removed, and we'll have a little bit of groundwork to get them out. They were large, so that's four really large mature trees in the last 2-3 years that got wiped out right next to the band shell. So they were pine trees, so like everything else, it was the pines. Yeah. Yep. And then I just noticed, didn't realize that there's another one right down along the trail north of the bridge, south of the watershed that's kind of hung up. I wish I would have noticed it Saturday. We could have had it taken care of at the same time, but it's gonna be too big and too dangerous looking for our guys. I think they're gonna get a company to come and get that done out. We meeting with insurance company tomorrow, show them what they've got, and we'll see what comes out of it. But it seems like no matter what, if we get a windstorm or a tornado or some sort of windy event, it's Baum Park or it's Terrell Park. So
Wait,
that's all I got.
any questions to that? Okay, I'm gonna go to Tim in the back.
Oh, we got out at Schulte's, he's trimming his third 12-plex and they actually. They actually building last week, so. Right. Starting my call speed.
Yep.
He's got it ready. Excellent trailers, commit for an addition, they're gonna be adding on. Right. Started building them. Application for acceptance, because they're gonna be putting in. Talking about the pond today. And I call again today. Straight cats. I don't
A
know.
whole bunch of them over here and they come up out of the gutter.
That we. I don't know if you guys ever hear it out. I don't. Seem to be getting more of our calls on the time.
Doesn't living back and forth at my place.
Yeah.
The complaint that came in last week was somebody who lives up near you.
Yeah,
He said
we're down
It's getting bad.
I've had 5.
He has had, I think she's had 6 or 7 of those cats fixed. So, whatever that means, but those last little ones.
Today's complaint came up by Hampton Street, which is the first one I've really seen there.
Style.
She's feeding them over here.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah.
There's multiple
Yeah.
back behind it. that feed 'em.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
I think we need to put a sign there that says cat crossing, because you cannot drive down that road without having to stop for a cat.
They're good to get, they get out of the way pretty quickly too. Trust me.
There were 4 of them.
So can you put traps up to catch them somehow and take them to
That
pound?
wouldn't be.
Well, yeah, but.
Live
you
traps.
just talk with the expense, they thought it was straight.
Yeah.
You got up there, but another
Mhm.
15,000 because.
140 an animal.
You get $140 a shot.
I don't see as many rabbits right now. Are they taking care of the rabbits? Yeah. For a while there was rabbits everywhere.
So I don't know if we can do anything about it, but I just saw it connect to the end of the call today.
was telling my brother Matt about that. They have a big problem with it in Columbia, Missouri.
Do they?
And they had to have a company actually come in and remove, start removing, because they were so overrun with cats there. Yeah. He
Cats are
works
so
for the
different than
veterinary
dogs.
medicine college in Columbia, Missouri, and he said it's just crazy. when they-
Mhm.
Yeah.
I had a
Need another
question for
Elmer.
Tim. Anywhere about a lumberyard, I mean, you're kind of,
Well,
I heard
they
that rumor
actually
floating
have
around.
one right up there. Up in the building up there. Nothing is going to, they're gonna have someone. I heard different stories. I heard one person's gonna be up there that would be actually get lumber, and I also heard that only one person was gonna stay down there, so. They're actually in the building up here now.
Mhm.
You know. But they're renting over there. Someone out of here. It sounds like.
More of a warehouse.
Yeah,
That's-
what, when person something, but it sounds like.
Bob Owens told me April 1st, they'll be selling lumber out some here. There'll be somebody there. We just got lumber out there last week from dog park.
That was a place, Facebook.
Yeah.
I've seen it come on
He said
Oh,
April
1st that they'd be selling out here.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
That's what he told me last week when I talked to him, because we went out and got lumber. We ordered it through down there, but he had a split there.
But I don't know, if it's gonna be just one person, I feel like. All the rest of them.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anything else, Tim? Any other questions for Tim? Okay, Perry?
UV went back online Saturday morning. You will see a poll that came through for repairs. Week or two before, went back online. Unfortunately, part of that came broken, so we are waiting on a few replacement parts, but we have enough to have one full rack at 100%. So hopefully they're gonna send some free replacement parts, but with that being said, that takes all my inventory out. So come large purchase for UV parts, so that's just part of that was completely rebuilt in 15. We've done 2 or 3 fairly large replacements in them 10 years, but after 4 or 5 years, you're looking at some, but it's the racks themselves are just starting to show age, and we had to replace a whole bunch of the internal stuff of the racks too, so. Our summer student will be, or high school student will be done Tuesday. So we up tomorrow. He actually enrolled in the water wastewater program at DMAC, so he will be going there this fall. So. Prospect someday. Still working on the mud valve at the pool. I'm not sure what we're gonna have to do to get that thing out of the floor, but it might be a little bigger project. We hope, but once it gets warm enough, we'll get big tools. Start working on that again. State inspector will be here tomorrow morning at 10, or we had to pay our $480 fee for our lab certification for every 2 years, so we paid that in February, and they will be here tomorrow to do a full inspection on the lab. And then that, just kind of working with Doug on a few things, or maybe the senior service day, maybe doing a little more sprucing up out there, or having the golf course thoughts involved in it.
Planting a few more trees and tidings.
Stay away from the evergreens.
Yeah.
Sediment trap inspections were completed. We are now turned around and we're starting to get into grease trap inspections. So we'll try to get them here in the next month or so. Really good, but other than that, spring oil changes and spring maintenance, and I think Jason and the guy.
Where are you?
Alright. So. Bunker gear, I'll start there. We're waiting for the AFG grant to see if we can replace all the bunker gear or not. If we don't get it, means we'll replace a few more. We will see, which haven't heard yet. We did get a DNR grant, so we're getting some of that equipment, that's 50/50 grant. So a couple sets of wildland gear, a couple of beaters that were broken, and some more. That's coming. Railroad train fire that we had. That's a gear. So they do not give grants, but I applied for a donation. No, they don't give donations. I applied for a grant to cover the cost. So it's a railroad. I don't know when I'll ever hear from them. Yeah. So, the back parking lot will be paved this summer, but probably will be in the 2025-26 budget year. So. Get done. Our air packs. They will be passed the recommended life in 2026. Standard comes out this year, so we are two standards behind. But air packs. We'll probably put another grant and AFG grant together later this year for that, see if we get a grant for that. If we get it, great. And we'll start really seriously looking at replacing air packs. I think that's great.
What's the estimate?
18 packs, 36 boxes. Can you guess it?
5,000 a unit?
Not quite.
Not quite?
That won't quite hit it. Probably pushing close to 200.
I didn't like the old. I didn't either. I never did.
No, and Interspear equipment. So not only do we have our packs getting outdated, we're worried about getting service replacement parts for the ones that have. They's making them, we've looked at MSA, we've looked at Draeger, we've looked at Scott. We like the MSAs, we like the Draegers.
So, God forbid you needed something quick, you could make a call to somebody, fix something.
A lot of people run MSAs, Earlville run Draeger.
Build last ones.
Yeah,
And then-
yeah. The face pieces are cheap compared to Interspear space pieces. They're $500 a piece, they're cheap. Well, that's good news.
You're more.
No,
Okay,
Linda.
I will. So. This is a few years down the line, but we're probably gonna have to replace a pumper in 2027, give or take. Rather large hefty bill. So. There, the ISO person was here. We're getting him some of the documents that he wanted. And we asked him about the ladder truck. He says, for a town of your size, you really should have a ladder truck or some form of aerial water delivery. Our ladder truck is in 1996. Possibility we may have to get a different ladder truck or a snorkel. I would love to see if the NFPA would approve a Lion truck, a bucket truck that's like they have. It makes sense, yeah. Which would be super handy. It's good. So, anybody hear what happened, what the storm was that we had? Was it a microburst or anything yet? Anybody hear? I haven't heard nothing on it. But everything's laying straight more.
That would be my guess. It was probably a microburst. And it just came down in pretty much that one general area and then.
Yeah, I heard nothing about it. Me neither.
Me
But it
neither.
didn't even rattle the flag on me.
My brother lost his shed that he just.
I didn't even-
Lost all the trees.
The parties lost.
I've
their
been here.
too. It was pine tree.
We had something like
Outside, too.
that.
Yeah, I didn't know. So it was a narrow line, really.
Mhm. It got really loud.
Doug Hawkins
That's what
lost some stuff
Nick,
too.
Yeah, you were right in it.
Yeah, we lost two trees, two pine trees.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Nick, the new police officer was on a traffic stop and he said he said he's never seen anything like it. He said it was just, the dirt came down the street and he said you couldn't see nothing. And I was like,
Really?
yeah, I was amazed because I was watching it at home, waiting for things to come through.
Mhm.
And I told Stacy, I'm gonna go to bed here pretty quick. I said, it's petering out before it gets here.
Mhm.
About that time, my phone rang and I was like, yeah,
It was fast.
yeah, yep.
They
Mike
pulled the
said it's like
coverage
30
on-
seconds.
on
Yeah, it's
ACRG too. Like, well, the warnings are over, so we're gonna send you back to regular programming. I went outside, I didn't think it was anything at all, and then I got the call. Yeah.
So other than that, we've been really busy. We've had 11 grass fires already this year. How many grass fires you ever fight in winter?
Pretty green out.
Well, I don't know, when the trains used to run, we used to get a lot more. We'd run all the time and the train would like. Fix them. Yeah, I heard it's crazy. It's people starting garbage.
Mhm.
It's this windy outside. What the heck are you burning?
Mhm.
And I can't believe they don't. Yeah, they recommended burn ban, but. Yep.
Burn bans only stop the honest criminals.
Right.
Mhm.
Criminals if they're honest.
So, like I said, we've had 28 calls already this year. As of March 20th of last year, we had 14. That's 11 grass fires, six carbon monoxides, 3 car and structure fires, two car accidents, and then one of them was a fatality. We only got one controlled burn so far this year. Scheduled.
You gotta burn grass. Okay.
Bennett's out west of town.
That went up on yours.
It was for a while. So other than that, just got our normal training coming up. Oh, good news, sorry.
Gosh, thanks, Randy.
Okay, that's all. Okay. Aaron.
Julie and I are continuing to work. Oh, wait,
Oh, I'm so
engineers.
sorry, engineers.
I thought we were.
Yeah. So you're gonna do rock, paper, scissors, who goes first? Okay, I'll let.
Joe
you
has
go.
to.
Okay, East Main Street, the DOT has finished their audit on that. Everything went real smoothly. DOT, appreciated all the assistance getting things signed, good documentation preparing city staff on that, so.
Okay.
Went real well. Sam and Austin have that down much better than I ever did, so.
Good.
You will see final change order and passment on the next council meeting. That can be paid then. And final reimbursement will come after those canceled checks get back, so. West Mary Street Bridge, talked to Tim about the biannual inspection, so we've got that on our calendar for the second part of April. We're gonna do that under project, the prior bridge inspection projects, been doing it the last number of years there, so that will get submitted by the May 10th. Submittal date there. Couple other things we've been working on, as Chad had mentioned, we're meeting tomorrow with NRCS to talk about potential wetland projects. We have actually received a contract with Idols to do a project here in the area. It will be through the private landowners, that's why we're going back with Chad and worked on to see who our options are. What we may need to do. Idols project is focused on water quality, or in the stormwater management, so we're working with them to to look at how we can incorporate both. So. And that's where we're at there.
Is there a specific area that you're kind of concentrating on? Or-
We're looking to the northeast side.
Northeast side.
Tributary A. We're focusing on that tributary A and what might be options there.
Okay, thank you.
Understanding general services, I know we've been talking with Tim on CIP things with Anderson Street being kind of next project in line there, south half there. And also downtown stuff, so we do have information. So we have information to Tim on the stormwater study for the downtown area. I don't know if we are in a position then to start talking about when you guys want to look at Anderson Street or not, as far as project development. We would be able to submit a proposal as early as next agenda. If we are ready.
You have it ready sitting on your desk right now.
Sitting on my desk right now, yes.
Okay.
We can wait a couple.
Yeah, again, this would be the engineering contract for doing the design work and going off construction on Anderson Street. That's what
Phase
we're
one.
proposing. And that would go, again, that construction project would not happen until next year.
And it's phased.
It's
right?
phased. That's correct.
Yeah, we'll talk to Tim about today's staff is from the end of where Anderson Street was part of East Main Street to just south of Union.
Okay.
Would be a reconstruction and it's 34 foot width. We talked about concrete and asphalt options for bidding. Sidewalk on the west side, 8-foot trail on the east side up to Baum Park. West side specifically, sidewalk would be at the north of Butler.
Okay.
And that transition further up on the next phase too. All in all, no changes to storm, modification of sanitary, taking that further north to adjust for some of the sanitary. Would be, intent would be to start designing in the spring, bid in the fall. One of the things to be discussed on that, it would be is to handle special assessments, they wish to continue with the last project practice or modify.
Okay. Mhm. Thank you. Anything else?
That's all I got.
Any further questions? for him? Okay, Jason.
So we're working on the initial project development on the Grand Avenue Trail extension. As of right now, there's no changes that I'm been aware of on funding. Might be some minor kind of, I wouldn't call them delays, but some additional timing on some of the sign offs and some of the environmental related items. We're still tracking probably a January 2026 letting for construction, next year's construction season. One being going out there, Top Great has remobilized the site. They're going to be starting to work on work this week out there, so. We're out there that's going to be getting addressed, all weather dependent. In their work there to be getting that addressed. Just got this fall to kind of get that wrapped up before they got out there. We're working on a couple of private projects right now. One's working with West Schulte out east of Subway. He's looking at doing a development out there on that ground that he bought from Stevens. One of the things that we're looking at out there, at least preliminarily, is trying to do some sort of a larger regionalized, compensatory storage, stormwater management area north of where he's looking to develop, right immediately adjacent to Main Street. In that area up there is a section of sanitary sewer that kind of cuts parallel to the waterway. That ends up being very inaccessible for the city staff and creates a lot of infiltration inflow and kind of bisects that area into that section of town into much smaller areas. We're trying to analyze a way of maybe trying to reroute a section of that pipe, relay that pipe, so the manholes would be accessible off of some of the existing parking lots or the adjacent properties, and try and open up that entire for grading without having to put a bunch of saddles in there.
Can you tell me, where's that?
North and east of Dairy Queen.
So west of Animal Health, east of Subway. There's the low area there, the field north.
Right where we ran that water main through a couple
Oh,
of years ago.
okay,
So
okay.
in that area there, he's looking to try and, he's got a couple of people looking at developing their Highway 13, and part of that's gonna require some fill and some grading.
Okay.
And then obviously we're running calcs for compensatory storage and
Gotcha.
stormwater management
Okay,
up
that
there.
all makes sense now.
And to try and be efficient with it, we're looking at ways to maybe try and maximize the storage and also address an area, a section of sewer that's become a problem for the city staff for maintenance and infiltration.
Okay.
So part of that would be a potential capital improvement project out there. That doesn't necessarily have to do, but it'd be looking for some potential participation from the city to help address that portion of the project. So we're still working on finalizing a couple things there, but Tim and I talked last week. I said I'd mention it at the meeting here to.
That sanitary sewer runs right in the bottom of the waterway now,
Okay.
so. You know what, you're the lift station that sits behind Dollar Fresh, Dollar Tree,
That's great.
sees a lot of flow once a year. Waterway, as much as we can.
Any ideas what Wes wants to put there?
He's looking at the commercial developer, like a 2-lot subdivision there up front. At this point, he doesn't have anything signed, but he is in discussions with somebody to purchase a part of that lot. And then he'd be looking at potentially developing the other part himself. At this point, not able to disclosure on that yet. He's still working on those, but part of it is just trying to dovetail all the pieces of the puzzle together out there. So I would estimate it's probably a $50,000 to $60,000 cost for rerouting that section of sanitary sewer from Hamptons.
When it gets rainy and we've had big rains, I've seen a lot of water go through them
Yeah.
culverts underneath.
Yeah, the culverts or the DOT culverts, there's nothing we can do with that. Just, trying to,
Well, the
That's never
accessibility to the manhole becomes a little bit more of a challenge for us
Yeah.
because it's in the wet area. And now that we're seeing some more development out there with the jail and Norby's and stuff like that, we would really be beneficial to have it so we can access the manholes, so we can jet them and clean them and maintain them.
The year that we were in the water, we went back, it was a fairly dry year, we got in there and put
Seals.
chimney seals on all that external portions of the manholes that are exposed, but that was just kind of a try to help with some of the inflow that gets in them when they're underwater, so.
Right. Thank you. Do you have anything else to?
no, that's it for tonight.
I apologize, gentlemen, for
Bye.
blowing you off.
I'm gonna take off and try to.
Okay, yes, that's fine. Okay. All right, Erin.
Julie and I have been working with ADP on getting payroll brought over. It looks like we're shooting for, and it seems like we're on pace to do the second payroll in April. So those time cards, people would start clocking in and out using the new system, and then we would have ADP process that payroll.
So that
So,
change what I have to do then, as far as when they come in to do the checks and anything like that?
yeah, we won't be having the checks, like we have been.
Okay.
So we're trying to move everything to more automated. And then we only had 4 people still participating in the Christmas club here, so we are eliminating that. One of the 4 just chirped in. So that's really been the biggest thing, and then working through final steps on the budget, getting everything converted into the state forms.
Tim?
Legislation, they just released the property tax proposal a week ago. Positive note, the legislators said this is not being rushed. They're giving the cities, the counties, the schools an opportunity to have conversations to improve the bill. The bill does something that I would like to see happen, and that's get rid of the rollback for residential, commercial, and industrial. It eliminates that, which getting rid of the rollback was one of the variables we had no control over, and it impacted us. The challenge we're running into is right now, what the bill proposes is a hard 2% cap every year on our general fund levies, the debt service, employee benefits, and our tort liability insurance is not capped or part of that. So that would be fine. Not really. The 2% is still a hard cap. And that becomes very difficult for us when everything else goes up by more than 2%. The other challenge is instead of the homestead tax credit, where the state filled in for that credit, it's now an exemption. The state doesn't backfill us that, and it goes up to $25,000. And this is, so your taxable value takes $25,000 off that. Well, if the rollback's not there, that's not so bad because it's not rollback and then taxable value is removed. But the challenge is just calculating how that's going to have an impact on us. One of the things they are talking about is that homestead tax credit then is only eligible on your first home, wherever you're eligible for homestead. All of the tax credits that the multifamily houses had, because, remember they put that as residential rate, that goes away. So they don't get the break on the homestead tax credit, and it's a second home, so they get rid of the rollback. It's tax full price. We're still trying to analyze how that impacts things. One of the things they are talking about is not including new valuations, by new valuations being new homes, new large additions. If there's a reevaluation year, that would be capped. So the other question comes up is on TIF. When we bring a project in on a TIF project and we have a rebate or abatement on that, when does that valuation come on as the new value? Because it doesn't, the way the rules are written right now, it doesn't incrementally increase, bring that new value on based off of, say, 5 years, it's taxed at 50%. So that has some implications to us as well. So on the positive note, we have some input. They're allowing us to sit at the table and talk about how that impacts things, because it'll impact rural communities much different than larger urban areas.
So when you say sit at the table, in what way? You just sit at the table.
The Iowa League of Cities is representing us, and they've got a small team. A couple of city managers in the metro area are sitting on there, providing them with the spreadsheets, the information to show how that stuff impacts not just the metro areas, but the rural areas as well. So that's a huge positive. We'll have that conversation, but we'll see where things go at the end of the year. Had a conversation with John Dolan last week regarding our insurance renewal. We talked about 10% increase on our city insurance. It did come in less than that. I think we're gonna be less than 6%. So that's a huge benefit for us, and I'm looking forward to seeing that change. Brian, with the lights in Ballin Park, those first two lights, Doug and Jason are working with Becker.
Yep.
Price Electric, to change those out to LEDs. There was a conversation, Doug, you want to talk about that? Are you looking at doing all four now? Yeah. LEDs?
Is the ballast going bad or?
Yeah.
And now you don't need that driver. It used to be we had to have, that whole setup had to have a driver. And now these new bulbs, I think we can wire direct and just get LED bulbs.
Oh,
Mark's supposed to be getting me a price on the, because all my ones downtown are the same way, except for we have just a handful that we've switched out and put a driver in, so.
So we're looking at that and trying to figure out best way to address that as well. So that is my update. Next Wednesday, Thursday and Friday is IMMI, professional trading, and then I'll be out the week after that.
nope, I'm good.
No?
Nothing.
I went with, Laura and Donna and Maggie Summers. We took a trip to Anamosa, Monticello and Cascade to look at their downtowns and kind of get an idea of things that they're doing there. We were trying to be incognito and we knew somebody in every town we were in, so that didn't happen very well. But Anamosa, very nice to have Seth Wedewer actually gave us a tour there and talked about some of the things they're doing. They're struggling in their downtown a lot right now. Yeah, they're competing with Cedar Rapids. A lot of the people who live in their community are driving to Cedar Rapids daycare, and they had got some revitalization grants though through I sent Tim a copy of it. Donna did some research after we talked to him. See if that's something maybe we can utilize here. Monticello, they are booming. They've been very, very lucky. I think maybe they had 2 empty storefronts and they seem to be filling right back up again. And Cascade has really got a cute little community down there, not as many buildings, but so still working on some things. We noticed that a lot of it is mostly restaurants, bars, unique like little coffee shops and stuff like that in service industry. Each one maybe had one boutique or something like that, the brewery downtown, Cascade, of course, and Shakey's Pizza, or Happy Joe's. So anyway, but, yeah, lots of things to talk about. I'm looking forward to our good, great conversation tomorrow. And also I want you guys to put on your calendar for April 16th, we will be having the boards and commissions appreciation thing at the fire station. Thank you, Randy, for opening that up for us again. Or said she reached out, I don't know. Anyway,
Sure.
yeah, sure. It's gonna be at 5 o'clock on Wednesday, April 16th. So,
Write that down.
other than that, I can't think of anything else. Anybody else have anything else to add? Okay, thank you, everybody, for being here tonight. It's been a long time. It's nice to see all your faces again. And I'll take a motion from Brian, a second from David. We're adjourned and we are adjourned.